he's being mocked now, even by his own side. You would have to conclude that the mockery is now actually getting in the way of the message. For example, one of the messages that could have come out today was that actually there are some green shoots in the economy. There are some encouraging signs. No one's saying that we're over the worst, but the stock exchange is powerful again. Sterling is recovering. There's a number of indicators that maybe we are through some of the worst. But that message never got through.
It's not getting through. I'm not sure. I mean, he is being mocked in the Westminster Village. But to what extent, the further you go outside the London intelligentsia, he's actually being mocked. I'm not saying he's vastly popular at this point. But I think a lot of this stuff, we all go on the blogs and we scrutinise Prime Minister's questions. I mean, do you think that he's completely reduced to mockery amongst the general public?
I don't know, but certainly in the press he is, and with comedians he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a wonderful figure for mockery there. I just think he's overwhelmed with the situation. I mean, here was a man who obviously had huge ambition to be Prime Minister, and in fact he thought his destiny was to be Prime Minister. And when New Labour came in, he thought this was his opportunity. It wasn't to be, it was Tony Blair. And so he felt he was a Prime Minister in waiting. And eventually the mantle fell upon him, but it fell upon him at the most disastrous time with all the credit crunch and everything else, and I just think he's found it very difficult.
I mean, the expenses thing could have broken at any time in the last 10 years. Unfortunately, it's broken on Gordon Brown's watch.
Michael?
Well, in 1997, the Labour Party destroyed the Conservative Party. I mean, I felt about a year before the election that, easily enough damage had been done to the Conservative Party for Labour to win. But Labour spent the next year destroying it even more, grinding us into the earth. And I think that's what's going to happen in this case. I think there were really terrible scenes in the Commons yesterday. And the Prime Minister was ridiculed, was yelled at, was insulted. Some people found it very, very offensive. But I think it's going to go on and on and on, because I think what the Tories have learned is you have to kind of crush the enemy.
Cameron and Osborne maybe need to leave that to other people. There's something
there's a kind of Flashman element at times.
Yeah, these two public school boys bullying.
But let me ask you, we know, because we've seen it, that Gordon Brown's presentational skills are not in the First Division.
Sure.
But is that a consequence of, or is there something in addition about his character that makes it difficult? We know he's dour, or dour as the English would say. We know he's got a bit of a temper as well. And he does speak often the language of the policy wonk, of billions here and billions there. Is there something in his character that also gets in the way of coming across to the public?
I'm not just saying this because I'm a Labour MP. I've seen Gordon Brown with people in a room talking about something he cares about, and actually comes over very well. But he doesn't necessarily come over well in the media. That's the problem.
What do you think? Is there a character flaw there?
I think there probably is. I mean, you mentioned when he was being castigated by Cameron and Nick Clegg as well. And what he should have done, this is presentation, he should have taken it on board, as Tony Blair would have done, got up and just sort of dismissed it and come back with some comment. But he actually lost his rag. And that is fatal in a Prime Minister, to see somebody who's not in control of the situation. I mean, that was a disastrous sort of PR operation for him.
The problem is he hates being mocked by people like Cameron Osborne. It really gets
There's a class thing there, isn't there?
He can't bear it. He can't control
go into
himself.
the public eye and not like to be mocked. I mean,
but there's a class issue there for him, being mocked by two privileged, people like that.
But the power of humour is not a power that Mr. Brown has. I mean, when he was mocked about this bullying in Whitehall and it was meant to be him, all he had to say was, I'll take no lectures from a front bench dominated by the Bullingdon Club. And this whole side would have cheered. He could have done it with a smile on his face. But to say, any complaints can be handled through the usual channels. It's not great,
Dealt
is
with
it?
in the usual way, wasn't it?
he said when he first assumed power, he said, I'm a serious man for a serious situation. But, I mean, he's become too serious. He should lighten up a bit. And do you think...
Well, I don't know. I've always been one. Lightening up was going on YouTube. I'm a great one for letting Gordon be Gordon.
No, I think you're a big supporter of Nick Clegg, is that right?
Well, I'm a Liberal Democrat, so
Right.
naturally support them.
Is he? I mean, he hasn't had a great start, but is he?
He didn't have a great start.
He's beginning to get some gravitas. That line that we saw when he was attacking Mr. Brown.
I'm saying it to his face.
I'm saying it to his face. He said to the Labour MPs, "You say it behind his back." That was quite a good line.
Very good line.
Yes, indeed, yes. No, the Liberals, I mean, they're getting a lot more confidence again because they lost it a bit with all their leadership changes went on. But they're regaining their confidence. And of course, as the public is now getting more and more disillusioned with Labour, some of them are turning to the Liberal Democrats. This is what I said at the beginning. It's the theatre of politics which is so fascinating. And you see it all. And it is an arena. I mean, watching the House of Commons at question time is a great theatre of happening and so forth. But unfortunately, they're dealing with people's lives. We're the ones who suffer from their mistakes and the things they do. And one final thing I'd love to say is that, I mean, the responsibilities he's got, especially at a time like this with a crisis. He went recently to Afghanistan, then he flew to Baghdad, then on the way back he went to Poland. All that takes an awful lot out of a man.
Does indeed.
But to do that and then take on the responsibility of a premiership, I mean, is this sensible?
We shall leave that question hanging in the air as we thank you for joining us.
Well, it's always a joy to be on the show. Thank you
Good to
very
see
much
you.
for asking me.